Welcome to the Ed Leaders Edge podcast, where we interview innovators and thought leaders in the field of education who are helping students thrive. I'm your host, Ed Madison. I'm a professor and researcher at the University of Oregon, an educational consultant, and serve as executive director of the Journalistic Learning Initiative, a nonprofit organization that empowers elementary, middle, and high school students to discover their voice, improve academic outcomes, and become self-directed learners through project-based storytelling. Welcome to our program. Welcome back to the podcast. Reed Mitchell is superintendent of the Florence School District 14-1 in Florence, South Dakota. He's also an author, motivational speaker, and a recipient of the South Dakota Hall of Fame Act of Excellence. Welcome to the podcast, Mitch.
Hey, Ed, thanks for having me.
Yeah. Let's start by talking about the fact that, even though you've got a relatively small school district, you've been growing significantly. I think you told me when we had talked before, like some 40%.
Yeah, in the last 9 years, it's been fun. It's been challenging. I always tell our school board and our community that every school district has problems. I guess I'll take the problems we've got, but they're problems nonetheless.
Yeah. What are some of the challenges that you're looking at currently and addressing?
Yeah, a small tax base is probably one of the biggest things that we're struggling with, because with people requires capital improvements that are generated through taxes, local taxes. So we're struggling with that currently. Being able to get the resources and the staffing that fast of growth requires that, and we're working through it, but I'd probably say that's one of the largest struggles that we're dealing with in our small school district.
Mm-hmm. You had also talked about concerns about learning loss post-COVID. How are you addressing those concerns?
It's different. I mean, obviously, we've got the learning loss teamed with the big class sizes, so we're trying our best to make smaller classes, smaller groupings, some intervention skills in the elementary as well as middle school, high school, to really focus on student needs. And that some of that could be derived from learning loss through COVID. Others could just be falling through the cracks. We've got new students that are coming in from different districts with different needs. So they're all coming in at different areas, and just being able to provide a positive environment for these students to be able to give them opportunities to succeed.
Mm-hmm. One of the things that I keep hearing from various superintendents is that, particularly for the younger kids, that we're kind of we're still trying to educate and have some level of normalcy during COVID. Many of them miss some of the sort of social norms and cues that we take for granted, like raising your hand or not just speaking out or lining up before we exit the room, those kinds of things. Are you finding that? And also just in terms of how kids interact with each other, respectfully and those kinds of things.
I would say that's probably a bigger need that we're seeing is the social side of it, the behavioral side of it, that we really took steps back during COVID. I would say that the academic side is still an issue, but I think school districts across the nation, both big and small, are putting in interventions for that. But it's hard to put in interventions for social interaction, especially with the rise of technology and how much that's used not only in the classroom, but just in people's personal life. You look at average screen time of our students and students' parents, it's a norm. And I would say that's drastically changed since COVID. We did a lot of our learning on screens, where before that, you could argue that school is kind of a break of screens for a lot of students. Now, schools have adapted with tools such as Google Classroom, where screens are becoming more of a mainstay in education, and we're starting to see the ramifications of that.
Let's step away from our conversation for a moment for me to tell you about the Journalistic Learning Initiative's innovative educational tools and services. Of special note is JLI's Comfort Corner initiative,
a video library featuring near-peer role models sharing about their mental health journeys. This innovative resource destigmatizes mental health challenges, provides a gateway to seeking professional help, and supports your students in realizing they're not alone. If you're looking to make the best decision for your teaching staff and students about AI adoption, improving student engagement, strengthening writing skills, promoting social media mindfulness, or enhancing college and career readiness, please take a moment to visit our website at journalisticlearning.org. Our team of University of Oregon researchers offer customized AI tools, instructional materials, professional development, and consulting. Research confirms that students with journalistic learning experience outperform their peers on numerous key indicators for college and career readiness. At the heart of our work is empowering learners to become effective communicators. If you think about it, effective communication is critical in every human interaction, whether it's writing an essay for a grade or being interviewed to secure employment. Since 2015, JLI has benefited nearly 20,000 students and served schools in 15 states and the District of Columbia. I invite you to schedule an appointment to explore how JLI can improve your students' learning outcomes. Now back to our program.
Mm-hmm. So, in terms of, are there have been any policy decisions regarding just access to phones during the school day, or
Yeah,
that
and
you?
nationwide too. I saw that California's got some Los Angeles schools districts, and we're a
Yeah.
long ways. We're a very different beast than them. But there are some schools in rural South Dakota that are limiting them. We have policies in place to limit them. We do have a few policies across the state that are actually eliminating them. But you walk a fine line of not allowing them and then teaching students what responsible technology use is, because they're going to use that all throughout their life. We've got a platform here at school where we can limit it, teach them responsibilities. But you walk the line of on both sides. So I don't know. I like where we're at right now, but we're constantly evaluating.
Uh-huh. In terms of career and technical education, I think you mentioned that you have a new facility that you have opened recently. Tell me about that and what you're doing.
Yeah, pretty exciting stuff. We've got some grants through the state, some COVID money that helped start the foundation of the CTE program and building. We have an ag room, science, and then it would be family and consumer science with a kitchen attached to that. So we just moved in last winter. So the kids have been in there about a year, or almost a year, coming up on a year in January. And we've seen a lot of students flourish. For example, new program that came from that was ProStart. It's a culinary cooking type program that our teachers spearheading. And last year we had students out in the state capitol pier uh, competing in a cake baking and decorating contest. I was not invited for good reason. I can test it, I can taste it, but the baking thing's not really for me.
Gotcha. Let's talk about AI a little bit. What's happening within your district in terms of thoughts of adoption, avoidance?
Again, it's one of those things that it's going to be a mainstay. It's not going anywhere. So to completely get rid of it, abolish it, I know that was kind of the stance right away, is to jump in and make sure that kids are not using this because they're not learning the materials. And too agree with that, but also sharing these tools with these students, teaching them the appropriate way to use them and how it can help us live an efficient life. It's so new. I know that it's been around for a good handful of years, but in education, it really hasn't impacted us directly. I guess the last 2 years it has, but we're still working through it. I think we've got a pretty good plan so far. We've had some speakers come in and talk to our staff as well as our students on the importance of it, the dangers of it as well, and just trying to navigate through what that looks like on making sure that kids are still learning the material they need while using the resources and then not blurring. So you can imagine about how confusing and how hard that is to toe that line, but that's what we're trying to do.
Mhm. Let me finally ask you just about the general overall sort of perception of public education has somewhat been eroded over the last number of years. I kind of compare journalism professionals sometimes and teaching professionals in terms of needing to do a better job of sort of telling our stories about what's working in terms of what we do. Do you have any thoughts about that? I realize it's a big question, but just
Yeah, the state of South Dakota is actually pursuing a campaign, our public schools strong campaign this year to try to negate that, to share some of the success stories. Because I think, just like anything, like you said, in journalism and in anything, people want to focus on the negatives. There's a lot of positives going on. You guys do good work covering things as journalists. We do good work building relationships with students and giving them a platform to succeed, but oftentimes we don't focus on that stuff. There might be the one bullying incident that we've struggled with, or gun violence in schools. There's a lot of negatives there, but those one far and few between those instances come, and that's what people want to focus on, and rightfully so. They are big situations. They need to be focused on, but there's so many good things happening in between these that we tend to not focus on, and trying to get it out there and saying that we are doing good things. Our school district, for example, we really strive to make sure that every student has something that they can be involved in. That's a small school mindset, mind you. I understand in these big school districts, the reality is that just some kids just aren't going to get involved. But a small school is a little different. We're all over the board, from having a football program, esports where students are gaming after school, a trap club, so shooting clay targets, and everything in between. So students are finding future farmers of America, future business leaders. There's something for everyone. And when kids can get into something and have something more than just being a student at our school, we see that attendance increases, academic achievement increases. So that's where public schools really are awesome, especially rural districts. I'm going to be a little biased and share what I think on small school districts, but nowhere else can provide those sorts of opportunities where kids can be involved in a whole bunch of things. And that's where public schools really excel.
Yeah, it must be invaluable to you to have a smaller setting where you can actually get to know the students. So often people can't are clueless about who the superintendent is, and it just makes for a different type of environment, you know.
Yeah, it's a different deal. That's why I love what I do, because on tough days where I've got to deal with my superintendent job, I can just sneak down to the kindergarten room, give about 15 high fives and a couple hugs, and then I'm right back at it. It gives your why. My why in this building is obviously leading this school the best that I can. We have awesome staff here, a great community to live in and work in. But part of that gets tough, as you know, every job is hard. But I have that ability to leave my office, walk down about 30 seconds from my office, and get into a grade school room where they're learning, and it gives some connections on why I'm fighting these tough battles while it's for those kids. And it's a cool. I don't think I'd trade it for much.
Yeah. Tell me, just in parting, a little bit about your writing and speaking that you're doing.
Yeah, it was based on a school project that I did with 7 students, a sociology project. And basically, I asked students 7 questions. What do you want to do before you die? What makes a meaningful life? What is something you've given up on? Questions like that. And the answers we received were truly inspirational and unbelievable. And just basically sharing that all students, all people that we come across every day have a story, and it's worth getting to know that story. And the first step to helping them is to understand what they're going through. And that's led to speaking. People asked me right when I started speaking, who are you going to speak to? I said, well, kids. And then my message started going out, and then, well, teachers really benefit from this. And then I went out more, and then all of a sudden financial planners and nurses and bankers. And, it really hit with a lot more groups than I ever thought. It's been a wild ride. It's been fun. But it's really where it started. It started where my passion was, I never thought I was going to write a book. I mean, if you'd asked my high school English teacher, they really would have thought I was nuts. But here I am, and it's because it was driven with passion, and it's what I love to do. And it kind of wrote itself, to be honest. I wrote the book. It's 157 pages, and I wrote it in a matter of like 9 months, just with spare time. It's not like I was sitting at school writing it. So it kind of wrote itself because it's what I was truly passionate about, and that's kids and getting to know them and serving where they're at. And it's hard to do that in a big district as a superintendent, but here in a small district, I can do that every single day.
Well, thank you, Reed. Tell people the title of the book, where they can find it, and also where they can find you if they want to reach out.
Yeah, Cardboard Confessionals is the name of it. It's on Amazon. Mitch Reed Speaks is my website. I've got a place there you can reach out, ask questions on it. I'd love to. I have a lot of schools that have taken that idea and made it their own, and that's what it is. I'm no genius. It's simple stuff, little scraps of paper in a cardboard box. But I'd love to share it. Use the model. Use it how you want to. If it's helping kids, I'm all for it.
Great. Thank you so much. Take care.
Thanks,
All right. Bye.
The Ed Leader's Edge podcast is produced by the Journalistic Learning Initiative. Please check out our latest books, Language Arts in Action from W.W. Norton Publishing, and Raising Empowered Learners from Rauman and Littlefield. For more information about our work, please visit journalisticlearning.org or edleaderedge.org. Thanks for listening.